Be bold enough to pursue your happiness because each of us has a little something inside of us that describes what happiness looks like. But are we willing to do what it takes to bring what's inside of us out into the world, to make a reality of that dream that's inside of us? Chris Gardner, who Will Smith played in The Pursuit of Happyness, he was able to amass millions of dollars, and I believe he's somewhere around like $60 million today by pursuing his happiness. You probably heard him speak, or at least you've maybe seen the movie, and he has 5 pieces of wisdom that he lives by. Some of them he has gotten from his parents. Some of them he has gotten from coaches and different mentors throughout his life. But each of them, he says, shapes the way that he interacts and engages with the world. The first one is that baby steps count too. Too often we're looking to get there quickly. I think one of the easiest examples that we can visually kind of wrap our minds around is when we are trying to lose weight or get into shape, build muscle, things like that, where we say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in like 2 months. And then when you kind of back into the number, you're like, hey, you're saying you're going to lose like more than like 5 pounds a week. That's actually very difficult, right? Like on average, we lose about a pound or two a week. But what ends up happening is something that took us years to get into the rut, we then want to get out of it immediately. Because we've always been thinking in the back of our mind, this is not the best of me. This is not everything that I can do. But we are also becoming impatient because we started, we've tried, we started, we tried, and then we're like, you know what, today's the day, never again, and then we make an unreasonable goal. But if we understand that we didn't get where we're at overnight, so we're not going to get out of it overnight, then it helps us to realize that, okay, let me just take some baby steps. Let me just focus on making sure that I work out every day, or that I take a 5-minute walk every day, or maybe that I don't have the fried food as a side. Maybe I'll add something that's steamed or a vegetable or something like that on the side, where you make these small changes and you end up realizing that baby steps do count, that you are taking steps towards exactly where you want to be. It's important for us to not get discouraged, to be able to hold on to that vision that we have of ourselves, because when you're taking the baby steps, if you measure yourself, let's say in a week or two, you may not see that much of a result, which then discourages you, and then you fall back and you lose your momentum and you go back into the way things were. You have to have enough confidence and trust in the future that you're stepping towards, that you don't need to weigh yourself every day, every week, or even every month. The second pearl of wisdom is actually one that kind of made me chuckle, and it was basically Chris Gardner's parents, or Chris Gardner's mom, telling him the Calvary ain't coming, and that she wanted him to understand that you got to take accountability for your own actions. You have to be able to say, the life that I've created today, I know that that is things that I have done. Some things that are good, some things that are bad. And if I'm going to fix that, I have to stop putting the blame on other people, and I have to stop worrying about how it is working easier for someone else or how things are unfair. And I really have to focus on what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. See, Chris Gardner, he did not dwell over the fact that he was a single parent and that his wife had left him. He just really understood, like, I have a kid, so I have to be a father and I have to do everything that I can in these situations. But I also have to make a living. And whether that means we're sleeping in a bathroom or in a homeless shelter, whatever that means, I have to be able to keep going. And he attributes, when you see how difficult his story was, he talks even about being kicked out of his house as a teenager, where he was like butt naked out in the street, and just the difficulties that he faced growing up. And he says that he holds these 2 rules, these 2 strategies in his brain that kind of helps him to say, you know what, it's going to be okay. Right, the Calvary ain't coming. I can't wait for someone else to help me. I can't wait for someone else to understand my struggle, and I definitely can't wait for someone else to fix the situation that I'm in. I'm going to have to start taking the actions myself, and then that's where the baby steps count too comes in. And when you really put these together and you keep on taking accountability while taking action in the direction that you want, you'll be surprised where you end up in a year, 2, or 3. But you have to keep going. Number 3 is you have to make a conscious choice to go the other way. There are situations in your life, there are things that you are going to encounter that just makes it very difficult for you to keep going, and it makes it very easy for you to justify giving up and quitting. Now, my vision is to make sure that black wealth doesn't hit zero in 2053. And that requires us to start recognizing different opportunities that are available. And if we're spending so much time focusing on the problem, then it makes it difficult for you to recognize the solution. So you have to be able to look at any situation and say, how can I make this better? What can I do? What can I learn? And how can I make something that was meant to destroy me something that helps me to prosper? Because you do not have to keep going in the direction, even though the momentum is pushing you that way, even though things are stacked against you, even though someone may be plotting or they may be manipulating a situation, or you even may feel like you're being framed for a situation. You always have a choice on how you react to it, how you engage with it. And you cannot allow your ambitions to be squelched. You have to be able to say, you know what? I know exactly what it is that I am striving for, and I'm going to make that happen one way or another. And then that leads you into number 4, which is you got to be world class at something. Chris Gardner said that the way he saw himself, the way that he envisioned his future, that it did not have any resemblance to his present world. And we often find that the majority of people, we allow the way things are today to create the way we feel and how motivated we are and how encouraged we are by the situation. But if you're focusing on the future, where you're going and what you're striving towards, that is what enables you to be able to say, you know what? Things aren't that great and things don't even look that good all the time, but I know that I'm going towards something. And see, Chris Gardner was able to look at his situation, and as difficult as things were, he was still able to recognize the opportunity that faced him that helped him to get into the stock market, to being a broker, when he saw that red Ferrari, where he said, you know what? There's something that this person's doing that I want to do too. And it is one of those things that if you see that situation and the first thing that you think of is what's wrong with the world, then you're going to miss the opportunity as it's presented to you. You're automatically going to be thinking why something's not fair or why they have that opportunity and you don't, instead of saying where they're at, I'm going to figure out how to get there. And it's really important that you allow yourself to be able to see these opportunities so you can take advantage of them. And part of that has to do with the information that you take in. You cannot watch a bunch of negative news and think that you're going to recognize positive events in your life. You are going to naturally be drawn, and your intent is going to be tuned to the negative. I find that I'll never forget, there was a gentleman that was doing a prayer at the congregation. He was in the church leadership, and he was praying about how divisive the world is. And then when you go on his social media page, you start seeing all the stuff that he shares, and you're like, yeah, I know why you think the world's very divisive, because that's all you're absorbing. So if you're only absorbing that information, if you only allow yourself to see the world that way, then it's impossible for you to see all the collaborations that are going on, the people that are working together, because there are people that are working towards the same positive goal. And it's more of a mindset thing than it is anything else. And so you have to always be having the proper mindset, because it's going to help you to draw the people who match your mindset, which is very important. And the last one is exactly where we started. You have to be bold enough to pursue your happiness. Because we each have something inside of us, as we already mentioned, and things are not going to be easy. There's going to be lots of reasons for you to justify giving up, losing your ambition. But if you want to be able to turn that dream inside of you, as I refer to the inner drumbeat of your happiness, into your reality, then you have to stop living a life of fear and start living a life of purpose, of happiness, of your dreams. If you're going to live a life of your dreams, then you have to stop living a life of your fears. You can't do both. It's not to say that someone who is living the life of their dreams doesn't have fears. It's just to say that they don't allow them to talk them out of taking action. It's very important for you to have the mindset that allows you to be able to say, you know what? I know exactly what I am trying to do. And I promise you, if you are pursuing that inner drumbeat, you will find a way to monetize that. It will be someone somewhere that will say, that is great, it will work this way. Or we should collaborate in this instant. it's a mistake that we make where we're just chasing the money. You'll find all the time when someone's just chasing money, that's the quickest way to make sure you don't get it. But if you're pursuing something that's a little deeper than that, where you're aligned with your soul, then you will find the results will come. And I'm often reminded of the fact that, right, we are spiritual beings. And so when you are focused on the physical world, then you are ignoring the most important aspect of you. But when you focus on the spiritual, you will find that it will create the physical world that you want as well. You can't, if you don't want to forego your spirit in search of physical pleasure and things that will perish over time. You want to make sure that you live a life that when it's all said and done, that you can say, you know what, I feel good about my life. I've lived a life that allows me to go to sleep at night feeling like I have contributed to this world, that I've made it better than it was today. And it's going to be better going forward because of that. And while some people may say, well, this is vain, or this isn't as important, or your purpose isn't as important as this purpose, I find that they all will have a positive impact on the world. And Scripture often talks about the need for us to work as if you're working for God and not for man. And the reason that's important is because oftentimes your situations around you in the physical world can be discouraging, right? Let's just be honest. They could be things that make it very difficult for you to believe and to hope in anything other than the present moment. But when you're living your life for God, it allows you to say, you know what? Even though certain things within my life don't make a lot of sense, I know that it's going to serve a greater purpose if I work with the utmost integrity and to the best of my abilities. You don't want to allow anyone to steal your ambitions, because they will. They will suck all the energy out of you. And you want to make sure that you're staying firm and focused on your passion, and you'll get the reward. And so that'll do it for us today. I'm Dre. I'm always thankful for your time. If you enjoyed this, I just ask for you to subscribe. Continue to spread the word. I do have a free resource for you guys. It's in the show notes. So you can go to forecasthope.com/opportunity. Until next time, continue blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life. And as always, better self, better wealth.